Count money, man. Stack riches. Trying told him I'm a beast, bud.
What's up, gang? Welcome to the G.R.I.N.D. Simon Arias here. Get ready, it's a new day. What's up, gang? Welcome to another episode of the G.R.I.N.D. Get ready, it's a new day. And I got our college football teammate, our brother, our roommate. Justin and I's roommates are pretty much our entire college history and career at Mercyhurst.
4 years.
In the house.
4 years.
And we are going to have some fun and get uncomfortable today. So I couldn't get blamed. I was
Blame
figuring,
me.
I'm gonna swing it to Perm.
I'm just
Perm's
gonna
gonna
ask all
be
the
the interviewer
questions
today.
Is that right?
And pull it all out.
My
We're gonna have
friend.
some fun, my friend.
My friend, listen, so question of the day is, why would you live with Mr. Arias and Justin when you were a little bit different?
Well,
Kinda.
I mean, one, I wanted to live with Justin, and first off, I caught him from behind in a high school football game, and so I wanted to see what his face looked like because I got him from behind and tracked him down.
After
we got the
outran
tape.
you.
We got the tape, but no, I mean, and honestly, like we played against him in high school. Unfortunately for us, fortunately for these guys, they beat my high school team. Shout out Perry Pirates, and
We didn't just beat you guys.
I mean, it was 14-7 at half.
Half.
I mean, listen, if we could recruit all of Cleveland, good Lord, it was. Okay, if we're gonna do that, I suppose. But yeah. So anyway, yes, we lost 40-7. They put it on. They put it on us. They put it on us to. It was 14-7 at halftime. Gave them a good run. But I think that Perm, to be honest with you, is just. When you go to college, you want to meet new people, and I think that's important. Yep. And just how you click with people, and the way that my parents raised me was just kind of, make your own friends, make your own way. And I think we were all at the back of the line, like a physical, we were all kind of. I think we got there kind of late.
I remember it clearly.
It was.
I remember it. We were getting ready.
Yeah.
Getting ready to get physicals. But I had already looked up who got recruited, and did I know anyone that was, come on, there we go. Send it down here. We had to get you the Diet Coke.
Yes.
Thank you, Kate the Great.
Shout out
Katie.
Shout out Kate the Great.
Thank you, Katie.
For the Diet Coke.
Appreciate you.
For my dude Staley. But we're getting ready to get physicals. But coming into it, I looked at who was recruited, and I saw Staley, and I knew that we played against them.
Yes.
And I remember on the scouting report coming into the playoff game, the main focus was you and your brother.
We thought they were black.
The twins.
You thought they were black? I thought they were black. Yeah.
You know what I was like in the playoffs? I was just angry. So
Yes.
I didn't think that. I just was ready to kill everything.
Just in the playoffs. Just in the playoffs. We're just that's where we're going.
We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
So they say so when you got to them, you were a little bit different. So you say don't judge a book by its cover. So how did you guys end up even hanging out with each other like this?
Dude, he was like a good influence
On you?
on me. I feel bad for both of them.
On the upfront.
Because
On the upfront?
I was a bad influence on Justin.
There was some bad
I was a bad influence on Staley.
Yes.
And they
Facts.
were both a good influence on me. So you can see by the time I got out of college, I had gotten slightly better. And they had gotten slightly worse. I think. But Staley was the president. He was the vice president of the school.
Yeah.
And I got kicked off campus, which we can get back to. So imagine that dynamic. Vice president of the school.
Bam.
And I got kicked off campus. I literally think that you talk about having 9 lives. I think I had like 9 lives. And a lot of it, I think, was just like the people love Staley.
So much, huh?
So much they were like, he can't be that bad if this guy loves him that much. So I got a couple extra shots, but because of that stuff.
Agree.
So, having Staley as the vice president of the school definitely helped.
So listen, you got to tell us a little something about back then about y'all, like back in the day, like what you guys done.
What was that?
Tell us a little something about you guys like back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me at least, it was we got along, really well, and I think that's something that. We all came in as defensive backs.
Right.
The coaches realized me really good playing zone. When I see everything, you ask me to turn and run with people, not good. So my career as someone in the secondary was gone about 2 weeks into camp. My ass was getting moved down to linebacker as soon as it was over. But I think that we got along really well, and then we were all kind of in the position group together. And that was, really helpful. Simon and I redshirted. Justin didn't, Look at this
Justin
guy's,
didn't.
Look at this guy's. Look at this guy's arms.
Red shirt.
You really think this guy? They're going to redshirt this guy?
I wish I would have. No, I did not.
Yeah, but I think that we just got along really well, and it just kind of happened over time where it was, I was on the first floor of Macaulay Hall, and you guys were on the third floor, and I just, it was one of those things where, I'd get done with class, and I'd always find myself up in, I think it was like 331 something, at the corner, back corner, and we hung out, and we realized, I think, that we all had more in common than I think that you would have thought if you just looked at the people that are looking at us right now. We had a lot more in common. And I think that was it was really really fun time for us.
You want to talk about like just super cool and non-judgmental, on anything, because it was a big transition for me, and Justin coming from Youngstown to Mercyhurst.
Yep.
Dude, Staley was just super cool in rolling with everything, and I think we just started to learn off each other. But one of the things that I could say amazed me about, Justin, his work ethic in school, the study, the work that he put in was amazing.
Crazy smart.
I barely went to I played football.
Those accounting books.
Oh yeah,
those accounting books.
Man.
He bring home. They're like this.
Penny Haynes.
Justin.
Yes.
Penny Haynes.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes. And
carrying him around perm, it was like good for him. He's carrying the football around. You should have seen the way he carried his accounting book.
Yeah.
His intermediate accounting book was like.
It was thick. Now that I remember, it was thick. But that's also something that my parents instilled in me.
Yeah.
And now that I have 3 girls, I'm like, man, I want to do the same thing. But grades were always, at the forefront of my dad and my mom, and they made sure that I got good grades or I couldn't play sports. And I had to basically get good grades in college or he would have sent my butt back home. So I always had that fear, in me, and that's why I majored in accounting because I like numbers. And those books, though, man, were unbelievable. But Staley, talking about you caught me from behind.
Yes.
Because
you can't let it go.
I can't let that go because I think the listeners need to know that there's 11 people on the field, right? Uh-huh. And I juked. If you know what a juke is, you know what I mean. I juked all 11 and was on my way to the end zone. Uh-huh. And after I juked like number 11, that's when Staley does not give up. That's one thing that's great about him. He does not give up. He ran me down. He did. After I juked him, probably at like the 10-yard line, you caught me.
Real talk, Staley. How fast was Justin? Real talk.
I think really well. One, he's really fast. I think that the ability to get going was something that was different. You had 3 guys they were all a little bit different. And I think the way that Ursuline was, they kind of like would soften you up with, I think it was like Delbert and Terrence. I think those were the guys' names. And then all of a sudden you're like used to trying to tackle these guys that are big guys and are not necessarily going to run away from you. And I think those guys were great athletes. And I think both of them played Division I football, but they were bigger. They weren't necessarily going to run away from you. And then you'd hand the ball off to Justin. It was like this change of pace, and it was like a blur.
A blur.
And I think I know that on that particular play, I want to say that whenever Justin was in the game, you'd give yourself 3 or 4 more yards of kind of depth because you wanted to see kind of which way he was going to squirt out. Because if you didn't have an angle, like if I didn't have an angle, I wasn't catching. I'm not catching him, but
you caught him.
One of my favorite moments in high school with Justin talking about an angle is when he smoked Marlon Jackson.
Yes.
Marlon Jackson went on to play at Michigan.
He was angry that game. Yeah.
Played in the NFL for a long time, won a Super Bowl. That was like one of the highlights for me watching Justin like just straight smoke Marlon Jackson.
Was not tall, but blessed with some speed.
All right, let's get back. So we got you and him was redshirted. Jay was always on top.
Yeah.
You guys were hanging out a lot. So let's tell us a little bit about this vest story that you guys got, a bulletproof vest story. Something about you taking a ride somewhere. I'm not sure.
Really I wasn't there for it. I heard it like secondhand. I was coming back from like a class and someone was like, "Hey, do you know Simon's wearing a bulletproof vest in the cafeteria?" And I just like started laughing. I was like, "No, he's not." And they're like, "No, you have to like, go down there." And I was like, "He's like, is there anything wrong?"
Yeah.
And I was just,
I was there. Yeah.
I remember it because it was like navy blue.
Navy blue.
To be honest with you, it wasn't just the vest. It was that Simon didn't have a shirt underneath the vest. So it was like
straight 50 cents.
Summertime.
He's like coming out like straight just like kind of like rocked up with the bulletproof vest on, and I was just sitting there, and I'm And I was just shaking my head, and I'm like,
What did I get myself?
We pretty much told everybody last week, kind of some of the extracurricular activities that I was involved in transitioning into college. And so, I was out and about in the city of Erie, back and forth in Youngstown, visiting folks in the projects, in Erie. And so I had good reason to have the vest on, but it didn't help that I was on 50 Cent before he even became a thing.
Yeah.
But, when it was when it was underground. So that was like he was like my mentor, which was not a good thing. But here's where the experience part comes in. I'm trying to think, man, this is a good thing, but I just want to avoid. I don't want my kids to go through this. But
absolutely.
Like Staley, the one time I don't know if if we're cool to tell the story or not, Staley, but. Remember we were watching the news and I saw a friend of mine on the news and we had to go home.
Yeah,
you rode with me to support me.
Yeah, I mean, Perm, when you were talking about the coming together and I said I wanted to be around people that were different.
Correct.
And just kind of getting new experiences, right? I mean, that's part of the reason why you go to college or when you go to a job, you want to meet new people and.
Right.
Obviously, like in Perry, Ohio, it's a great community. Pretty sleepy. The only thing that's getting shot are kind of deer.
Yeah.
Deer. And birds and stuff like that. So, excuse me. When Simon said one of his best friends had been shot. At first you're kind of sitting there and you're in shock. I mean, he woke me up when he heard the news, and I remember thinking to myself like. This is like something out of a movie.
Right.
This
ain't real. Am I dreaming?
And then he's like, we got to go to Youngstown and I can't drive. And I said, okay. Looks like we're driving to Youngstown. And I'll never forget it.
Whose car did you take?
We took Simon's, I think it was the Regal, right?
Yeah.
And we're driving down to a hospital in downtown Youngstown. It really wasn't far from the football field, I don't think. And I remember, Simon went right into TC's, his hospital room, and I just remember thinking to myself, when I was just sitting in the hospital lobby, Perm, and I didn't know what to think, other than Simon didn't come right back out, so I kind of knew that it wasn't very good, and I ended up falling asleep, on those hard chairs. And Simon came out at 6:00, and if anybody's done the drive from Youngstown to Erie.
It's a ride.
It's a ride. And we had 8:00 lifting.
Yeah.
And it was 6:00.
Can't miss.
And he was doing this back then. So 8:00 lifting.
8:00 lifting, mandatory. And so we just, it's a miracle. One, it's a miracle that Simon's friend survived.
Yep.
Because he probably shouldn't have. And then the second thing was it was a miracle that we got to 8 a.m. lifting because there was I should have gotten 7 speeding tickets.
You were flying.
Running red lights to the point where we just drove straight in, and you're not really allowed to park. Right by what was the right where the football facility is. You're not allowed to park there, and we just kind of parked there, probably parked illegally, and just kind of got down there and went to weightlifting. And I remember thinking back on it, I was very scared, just in the end, at the first, because you're kind of there was a little apprehension because. I was like, well, if I go to this hospital, am I gonna get shot?
Right. You were just what's going on? What am I doing?
Yeah, I was what am I doing? But I think for me it was
logical thoughts.
I just really didn't. I didn't want to let Simon down.
Right.
And so I think
you talk about loyalty, man.
Right.
That was our. Now I got the shirts that say loyalty is rare. We kind of live by that in college of loyalty over everything.
Loyalty above all else.
Oh yeah.
And for a group of young college cats, man, there was a lot of loyalty in us, and especially our group.
Yeah,
and so Staley really reconfirmed to me what loyalty really was. Even if there was differences and I was doing things a little bit different than he was doing things. Mm-hmm. He just always was all in and had my back, and like I mentioned, probably eventually we did get, I got kicked off campus and they moved with me. Thank the Lord.
Just so you're clear, Simon got kicked off campus. I got asked to leave. The goody two shoes over here to the left is the only one that ever had any housing points.
Housing points at all.
So Justin didn't get
zero.
kicked off.
No. Simon and I had no housing points,
Yeah.
negative housing points.
You
This
see,
guy had some housing points. He just got in trouble because
Yeah.
he was with us.
You see, there's something called
so-
something called a rule book. Okay, and in life, a lot of people don't want to follow that rule book because a lot of people get, they get around the rule books and people just give them pats on the shoulders and things like that. But Simon would always, for some reason, usually he gets around it, but for some reason he just kept getting in a little bit of trouble. And finally, they said, you're not going to leave the school, but we got to kick you off campus. And because we were so loyal, we said, we're going with you. You know what I mean? We're going with you. And we didn't stay on campus. We all, went in. We got a house, and we had some unbelievable
They say it gets worse before it gets
times,
better.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? At this house, but we said, we're going with you.
Y'all, so because of him, both of you guys actually.
It was a very much a group
It
effort.
was a group effort.
It was a group effort. So Simon and I ended up getting into trouble with the residence life staff a little bit more than Justin.
Because he was always in the books.
Well, not that, but let's just
Simon liked to take the rap. Back then, he used to like to take the rap for things.
Okay.
He did.
Until I ran out. Then we
you
started
ran
to
out,
swap.
yeah.
Then Staley started to take swap.
Well, no, and it ended up when our deck fell. It was me and Justin.
Yes, because I had no more. That was
how did
it
that
was
happen?
gone.
I had to take that
So,
one.
Justin
so
took
how
that.
did the deck fail?
Oh my!
Okay, so
We were having a blowout party.
it was the beginning of
Northern
our
Michigan.
it was Northern
We
Michigan,
just
our senior
won.
year. We won.
I was at the front door.
It was I think that we had kind of really what's the word? We'd really come into our own as it
Yes.
relates to having a good time. And it was the
Too many people.
first game of the year. I think a lot of people wanted to celebrate. We had this house off campus. It was really nice. It had a deck on the outside, and really, like in retrospect,
Everybody
it was
wanted to hang out.
It wasn't necessarily a deck so much. It was like a 4x4
Yeah.
stuck into
Very
the ground
small.
And a lot
with
of
like with like a platform on it. So, in I guess we probably should have monitored how many people were out on that deck, but we were all very excited. We're 21.
old.
Simon was getting an IV downstairs in his bedroom. It was literally the only time that we ever got in trouble
The drip.
that I never had to obscure what Simon was actually doing because he
was the
literally
truth.
It was literally
was
the
the
truth.
truth.
I got to say, it's like Simon was downstairs.
I was
he didn't open the-
dehydrated,
he
got
was
like a full
dehydrated.
body cramp
Yeah.
He
after
couldn't
that
move.
game,
Oh, yeah.
and I
Couldn't
couldn't move.
Couldn't move. So
Didn't get in the drip.
and so
And I was
getting
making
ready to
sure
come back,
that
though.
I was
Can
making
I
sure
get
there
this
was no.
Y'all
I
go
was
get
making
it
sure there was no underage
I'll be
people
up.
at the house.
Okay,
You know,
no
I was at the
underage,
front door.
for sure.
the reality is we did our best to make sure that there were no people under the age of 21.
I think only one person came out with an injury.
With a
There was a
broken
bunch
leg.
of people
Broken leg?
on that.
no, she broke her ankle.
Broke her ankle.
Okay.
God bless that girl. I can't
Yes.
remember her name, but she was loyal.
Yeah,
Ashley,
loyal.
Ashley.
She was
Ashley.
nice.
She was very
She
loyal.
could have blew us out.
She could
Blew
have.
us out.
But what saved the day? Does anybody remember why it could have
what
been
saved
worse?
the day?
So
No, it
couch
wasn't a couch.
downstairs?
No, not a couch.
I thought there was a couch
what saved
underneath.
the day? Two things. One,
Couch.
we rolled all the kegs down the hill, and our buddy picked them up. So by the time the 14 or 15, Erie
Cops.
patrolmen came, our house was completely empty, and the only people left in there
They
were
were slow.
over the age of 21. And so,
Wow. Come
I
on.
mean, in all seriousness, we were very lucky. No one got hurt.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
We were not able to really. Anytime we would turn, and this is where it comes like
It was
50 said.
the tires under the deck. Remember,
Oh, that's
remember my
right.
big tires?
I do remember
From the rims.
the Denali.
We had the Denali
Yes.
tires underneath the deck,
Yes.
and it bounced. They said if it wasn't for it bouncing on them
Oh,
tires.
somebody would have been gone.
So for everybody that was hating
my.
on me for them big ass spinning rims that I had, we saved people's lives.
spinning.
Yes. I mean,
Come on.
Who would have
Let's
known
go.
some spree
Saving
walls,
lives
spree
with
walls
the
some
tires.
smart- And shout out, Mike Sikra, who literally like surfed it down the house.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like up against it. And if you looked at his back, he had like aluminum siding marks.
Wow, Sick was on that deck.
Yeah, it slid straight down. Sikra's got 9 lives though. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
but
yeah.
he literally slid down, and like we still talk about it. It was a very
Crazy,
fun.
man.
It was a very
I
fun
had a fun
party.
time.
We had a really good time. Unfortunately, for the people that came behind us at Mercyhurst, the let's just say the residence life handbook has changed a lot.
Yeah, yes.
With the three of us having a very heavy hand in how that was changed.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's crazy. So, now y'all being together, right? You done had him ride around with you with a bulletproof vest, taking him down to Youngstown to do some things. Jaden got kicked
There's things I can't. That he wouldn't let me mention on this too. That happened, and he still wrote it. There's some
some guardrails. Thank you, Giovanni.
Because he's what's a company you're with right now?
Schneider Downs.
Schneider Downs. It doesn't even matter to me. This is where if anybody, I'm big into real estate. Yep. If my money's not going into this business, it's going into real estate, and anything after that, any cash, this is the guy that got the money. This is the investment guy at Schneider Downs, the only one that I would trust.
Yes.
So we had to keep it semi, you know what I mean? This is like the PG version of everything that this poor man had.
Everybody at mercy of her knows.
So what have you learned now in business that y'all have done all this stuff that you can share with Staley now? Knowing that y'all done had a ball, he done did a lot of things.
I'd like to hear from Staley. I think they hear enough from me.
Okay.
What have Staley, give us some things
tips
you've learned in business in your journey, coming up as a financial advisor for high net worth clients.
I think in my backgrounds in research, I was an intelligence studies major, and Simon
blew that for you.
When we talk, I mean,
he said,
he used to blame me and tell me that he couldn't pass the test.
I remember.
Do you remember that?
Really?
It's not that I didn't pass the test. Is when I got polygraphed, I told the truth.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'm glad we're past that.
He said,
I'm glad we're past that.
So when they asked you to explain certain incidents that were in our residence life file, like our deck falling, there's certain times. And by the way, looking back on it, I wouldn't have given a 22-year-old me a security clearance either. I mean, looking back on it, I don't know that I necessarily would have. And so I would say that what I've learned more than anything is. You want to. There's a lot of we all went to school and we all learned a lot of things at school, and I think one of the things that the most valuable lesson that I've learned is that how you relate to people,
right,
and specifically the way that you treat people, and really I think Perm, you said it, not judging a book by its cover.
Right.
I think that gave me a life experience that I don't think I necessarily would have, because I think that you could have gone to Mercyhurst and not had the kind of experience that I had, or the experience that these guys had. And I think that there's, I think we're going to get into it a little bit later, but there were some shared life experiences that Justin and I shared, and that actually Simon shared, that, we ended up having more in common. And I think for me, going through life and having people that you can count on, I moved to Chicago, I didn't know anybody. So, calling these guys and, trying to get through, because I wanted to do something. I wanted to go somewhere where I didn't know anybody, and see if I could handle it in a big city. Mm-hmm. And I think the value of friendship, and just when you have those experiences with people, and it's early on, like before Simon, Justin, and I kind of became who we are now. Right. We were all friends, and we didn't know that we were going to end up in this place. Like, I certainly didn't know what I was going to be doing, and the success that these guys to my left and to my right have had. We were able to, I think that the experiences that we had when we were 18, 19, 20, and 21 really, were formative in that they propelled us to where we are today. But it's also comforting knowing that, to the extent that you've obtained some amount of success in life, that you're still really close with the people that knew you before it happened. That's because cool, it's really easy to, for me now, it's, I've worked in a family office. I have, I've been able to establish myself in my career, and, I have, really good friends, but it's, to go from A to A to Z, not everybody, was there for the middle part of it. And I think that that's, for me, what is kind of taught me is that people, when you're in your career, and especially like when you're not having success, because it's, we've all three of us, it hasn't been a straight line. No. Simon, it hasn't been a straight line for you. Justin, you and I, we've changed careers. And so it wasn't a straight line for us. And I think, you think back to those times when you're 18 and 19 and football is the focus, and you maybe not having the success that you want, you kind of rely on these relationships. And I think that, I've leaned on them when I moved to Pittsburgh. I knew that I could count on these guys to help me kind of move back here and get acquainted, and it's just been really good to kind of get the band back together again. But it's weird. It's weird for us because we don't really see each other, because Pittsburgh's like weird like that. Like, you live in the North Hills, and you live in the South Hills. Like, Pittsburgh, like, they don't like to cross bridges. Like, that's a thing. Right. Like, you cross two bridges, and it's weird. Like my wife, born and raised.
South and North, they don't even really.
Well, me in the East too. Like I was like, Britt, I went. Britt's my wife. Love you, babe. We went out to. I'm like, I had to go out to Monroeville, and she's just. It might as well be St. Louis. It might as well be like.
Why you got to go there?
It might as well be like St. Louis.
So long.
Exactly. Or like, my goddaughter Aaliyah. It's like we had their first birthday party. It's like we're gonna go to Pine Township. She's like, well, how far is that? And I'm like, it's like half hour.
So let's get back to 18 and 19 when you guys are all playing football. How was it to play with Justin and Simons?
I mean, I think
how good were they?
Well, I mean, Justin kind of jumped out at you because he was really athletic.
He was just fast, huh? He was built like a brick.
He was fast. He's built like a brick. And, he was a couple inches taller. He wouldn't have been playing at Mercier's. I mean, I just think the sad reality of college recruiting. Or if he decided to play baseball, which I don't know if we want to touch on that sensitive subject.
You're supposed to play baseball at Mercier's.
On the podcast. So I think that, first and foremost, like Justin just being like physically able to keep up with guys that were, had been in the program for 4 years. I mean, Justin was like physically ready. I mean, Simon was
started as a freshman.
I mean, Simon was like from a physical standpoint, Simon was, but I think, Simon had, was not as physically gifted as Justin. Especially from a speed perspective. Right. I mean, Justin was like a 4.5 guy, ran track. Justin was physically ready to play scholarship football as an 18-year-old. Day one. I think with Simon, I thought I loved football, and when you get next to someone like Simon who really loves football, like you kind of say like, oh, well, my intensity level has to get to come up if I'm ever going to have any level of success, because if he is what I'm going to be judged against, I have to pick my game up, and I don't know that I ever matched his intensity, but I'd like to think that his positive work ethic and intensity kind of rubbed off on me. And as I went through kind of position changes, and I'd never played linebacker before, and it kind of took me a while to kind of find myself on the football field after the position change. But Simon was always like very supportive, and his just intensity kind of jumped out to the point where, I mean, we kind of had, even as a freshman, kind of had to tell him to like calm down.
Chill out.
The coaches are like, hey man, like these guys got to like play on Saturday. Like, Simon was literally trying to like take the head off of like our starting receivers and our starting running backs like every rep. Like we would be in shells, and Simon's out there like trying to like smoke people, and we're just like, come on. Relax, man. And then the thing about it is he never relaxed.
No, he was always ready.
And he was like always on. Like, I mean, I think some people might watch this podcast, and especially if you don't work with him, I mean, he's always on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about you. You're always on.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. And it was just like he attacked everything like that. And I think when he talked about, maybe some of the things that he was doing when he was 18 and 19, I think the intensity that he had on the football field and the intensity that he had as a result, I think, of a lot of like how you grew up and kind of the trauma that you had. I think trauma. I think you started.
That's what I'll call it.
I think you started to channel that into your business.
Yeah.
And that's where what you see in terms of the way that the drive that he has, whether it's in his the primary insurance business or in the consulting vertical that you started with Marcus. I think that level of intensity is something that's been there since I met him at 18.
Always
so we're 20 years later.
It's still there.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's just sometimes I'll text him. I'm like, how in the hell are you up at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Rolling around with a guy that's just knocked somebody out in the Bellator. I'm like, literally stop trying to fight this guy that's like 70 pounds more than you and, just knock somebody out in Bellator. And it's just like, I'm thinking to myself, I've been having this conversation with this guy for 20 freaking years. It's just like, and he still doesn't listen to me.
Yeah.
But I still
everybody
persist.
our age now, 20
He
years.
said 20 years.
I still persist.
So now, how was it for you, Simon and Jay? How was it playing with Staley?
I think for me, Staley was super smart on the field and off the field. So he was the guy that would, he was like, and me and him were similar in a sense of how much work we would put into the film room,
right?
And studying the other team and the other opponent. And I played safety and he played linebacker. So he was like the quarterback when he got on the field, of the defense, and I was the quarterback of the secondary. And so I think playing with Staley, he was, he and I were both overachievers. We had to put in extra work, than Justin. You know what I mean?
I mean, look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Yeah,
just look at.
But I was always there. I was always there putting in work.
Sick work ethic. Jay had a great work ethic.
Sure.
That's why because you already were so good and talented, and then you matched that. Most people that gifted don't put the work in, and we saw what happened to those folks. We had a lot of people come in that were super gifted and didn't put the work in, and their careers didn't even end up, as good as our careers. But I think playing with, how many years did you start, Staley?
No. I mean, I started our fifth year, and I played a lot.
Played a couple years
year. I played every year. I played
the last year, but we're a captain also.
Yeah, and I mean,
we were all captains at one point.
Yep.
And I think the
3 captains up here. Come on.
Yeah, I played, especially in the nickel. Kind of when we went to an odd front, I played. I played behind a really good guy, Mike Sikra, who's really talented. And it just took a while, and I think. I honestly, at one point, I didn't want to come back and play. I was kind of done. Yeah. Between Simon and my twin brother Brandon, it's you're gonna regret not playing your fifth year. Yeah. So it was just kind of I was kind of over it. And had I not come back and played that fifth year, I think there would have been you want to talk about 20 years later living with a great deal amount of regret.
No doubt.
Because I was able to kind of accomplish part of something that I kind of set out to do in 2001 And I think that when Simon talks about the film room, I think that's where he and I would spend a lot of time. We connected. Yeah. Now I just wish I would have followed him to the weight room afterwards.
We tried to get you in there.
Simon and Justin would go to the weight room after that, and I maybe went someplace else.
To the bar.
Yeah, maybe to the bar. Maybe to the bar. Yeah. Somewhere other than the weight room.
I remember
Frank the Tank. Can we talk about Frank the Tank? Is that off the air? Can we talk about Frank the Tank or no?
I mean, I think you guys have already.
But before that, you know what I mean. I just remember you being so patient. You know what I mean. You said it took you so long to get on the field. You know what I mean. You were patient. You didn't pout. And this is a guy that was decorated in high school. Like he was unbelievable. I think you broke a lot of records at your high school for being a wide receiver, being a DB, and then you go to college and you take a back seat. And never saw him pout, never saw him complain. Went through a lot of injuries as well, but always was there in the film room. Always was there. The football IQ was up there, and I just learned so much tenacity from you. And then I learned, showing up. I remember you going out, and drinking all night.
Unbelievable.
And you still showed up.
That was a rare
all
quality.
the time.
Simon's intensity was a rare quality. My quality was
ability to drink and recover.
I would be there at 8 o'clock because you want to talk about your parents. I knew if I was going to have fun, and my mom, God rest her soul, if she ever found me. Linda. If she ever found me not going to class at 8 o'clock in the morning, so I would just show up at all these 8 o'clock classes, and and I think that was, it became a kind of a running joke, and that's kind of where I got the Frank the Tank nickname.
And he mentioned his mom. I had that's one thing they ended up sharing is
together,
Justin's mom passed. When he was young of breast cancer, and then Staley's mom passed while we were in college. Yeah. And a lot of times, that can kind of end a kid's career, in college. And not only did it not end his career somehow, I could see that he has a lot of her traits, because when I remember going to celebrate her life, at the funeral, and it was you couldn't even get in. You couldn't even pull up. There was just people everywhere, lines of people everywhere. You could tell she was just loved, and that's the way that Staley was also. But he didn't let it kill him. He found a way somehow, which is unbelievable. Found a way to come back from that and continue to drive, continue to push forward, end up a captain and persevere, ultimately. So that's something that sticks out to me, about Staley, for sure.
Big time.
Yeah, and I think and that's kind of, permanent when you talk about, it's easy to be friends with people when you're successful, and but when the people see you at their lowest moment, that's kind of what you remember. And I think that's, we all kind of shared that, in terms of kind of losing a parent, or, having someone really close to you, in the case of Simon, losing them when you were young, right? And the kind of the trauma that's associated with that. And, these guys were there with me. I remember, Justin, you and I remember we walked through, we saw Coach Lombardi.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of, Justin kind of walked with me as I had to go tell the coaches, I'm like, hey, I got to go and I'm not coming back because I'm not going to be back until after she's gone and we have the funeral. And, and that's a hard message to deliver when you're 21. And, to have these guys, who drove to my house, the day that she passed away and were with me, kind of holding my hand through, the darkest moment of my life. And then kind of the backswing is, when you're 21, your grieving process is a little bit different. And I think that they gave me enough space to grieve the way that I wanted to. And then when it was kind of, when you're pushing up against a place that it could go either way, where there's always a fine line, right? There's a thin line, and I was coming up against that, not doing the things that I was supposed to, definitely drinking too much. And you're looking at maybe the life goes a little bit different if you don't have, those positive influences around you. And, Justin and Simon were able to say, like, hey, you need to step out of this. Like, it's been long enough. Like, you've done it your way. Now kind of come back. And that's where kind of the upswing comes. I got an internship with the Department of Defense that summer. We start, then it's Justin's fourth year. We had a really good football team that year. I played a lot more that year. Best, stayed on campus, best shape of our lives. We had a great summer together.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where you kind of turn the tide and the momentum kind of changes in your life. And for me, that's, the value of friendship. And that's really the kind of like the Mercier's difference for me was, we didn't judge a book by its cover. No. We were there for each other when it really mattered. There. And then, it turns into this kind of wonderful friendship where, I say that Mercier's, I've said this, multiple times, Mercier saved my life. And a big part of Mercier saving my life was, the guy on my left and the guy on my right. Because if I'm anywhere else and I don't have those relationships and I don't have these guys to lean on, shoulders to cry on, it goes different. I'm convinced that my life is different. So, that's, I think at the end of the day, if you take anything away from this, is that the power of friendship and its saving quality. When we talk about like loyalty above all else, I think that's just these guys. There were times where Simon and Justin didn't want to go out, but they knew I was going to be out.
Right. So,
and especially during that time, it was like they just needed to make sure that I stayed on the rails.
Yes.
And so that
was going out with you.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that you was all
just
good.
to make sure I was good. So
sometimes it was just to see how many pitchers you can drink.
So the three guys here from Mercyhurst, y'all been together for such a long time. What are some of the things that you took from Mercyhurst that you can carry on and you carry with you today?
You want us to just go down the row?
Go down the row.
I would say, for me, Staley mentioned, the love of, my love for football. I don't even know if it was, and I did love the game of football, but I don't even know if it was
definitely.
It was
he
for
said
me
you're trying to kill guys. Go ahead.
As much and this is it. This is the reason why. I didn't really. I don't even think I would give the credit to loving the game of football as much as I hated the fact of if I don't come with this intensity, I may not be a starter, and I couldn't take it. So it was hating to lose more than I love to win. It was hating to lose more than I like playing the game of football. Was over. You hear people say over my dead body. Yeah. It literally was like over my dead body, dog. Like, I'm gonna be a starter out here for the next 4 years. If I gotta kill you out here,
it's going down.
That's what's gonna happen. So I think that's something that I've been able to carry with me that I learned at Mercyhurst is because I was last starting out. My redshirt freshman year, I remember seeing the depth chart. There was like 7 safeties, and I was like 6 or 7.
You were so mad
on the paper. I'm like,
he was so mad.
I'm about to catch a body out here. I'm about to kill somebody out here. And so I think just gradually finding a way to realize, regardless of your size and circumstances, the power of work ethic and discipline and resilience, what that can do for somebody, I learned at Mercyhurst, and I carried that on into business.
I would say for me, when I think about my time at Mercyhurst, is that you're in any given circumstance, there's a lot of opportunity, but you kind of have to go out there and take it, right? And so for me, I wanted to, try to play football at the highest level, right? So kind of Division II was as good as it was going to get for me. I wanted to excel in school. I wanted to be active in the student body. I almost brought my green coat, by the way.
Yeah. That would have been awesome.
I was an ambassador, so I got to take prospective students and their families around campus.
We used to follow you around and try to bust your balls.
You did. You knocked me off my game to the point where. We're going to take a tangent. It was this nice green coat, and they would, when they found out that I kind of had this like rhythm to the tours, they would make sure that they were like somewhere on it, and they would change it up every single time. So it wasn't just like in one cafeteria or one part of campus. And Simon would just say enough stuff until I started laughing. So bad. But I think for me, thank God they didn't see you with the bulletproof vest. That would have been. I would not have got them.
We should have wore that.
But I think for me is that I saw what Mercyhurst could be, and I just tried to maximize every opportunity that I could. So I mean, I was a football player. I was in a pretty difficult major. I was vice president of the student body. I was an ambassador, and I had a lot of friends. And it wasn't just friends on the football team. I had friends that didn't play football, and then I made friends, with the administration, people that were working there. And to me, if you take one thing is that no matter where you are in life, no matter what obstacles you have, there are a lot of opportunities. Right. But it's on you to make them. If you can't just sit back. Like I look back at my football career, and it's like, yeah, I made the choice not to go to the weight room. And I look back at that and I say, you know what? You got the career that you deserved. Right. And for me, it was just trying to maximize those opportunities and really on the things that maybe it didn't go my way at Mercyhurst, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to make it better and do better the next time I get that at bat. And so just maximizing every opportunity that I could. I think that's the one thing I took from Mercyhurst.
Love it. Couple things I took. Number one was friendship. That. Boom. You can put so many people from different backgrounds. At that time we were from Youngstown, Ohio. We didn't know too many people outside of Youngstown, Ohio, and for everybody to take us in open arms with Simon beating up, the baseball player the first day
before school even started.
I'm supposed to play baseball.
Oh, that's why you didn't play?
But then we end up being friends. Simon's, the godfather of one of my daughters. Staley is as well. So just that friendship and camaraderie. I also learned that you life isn't fair. When you look at life, we had some very good teams, and coming from high school where we went 14-1, and then we go to college in our first year. I think we won one game. Coach got fired. Bring in somebody else. Two games. And understand it didn't matter how great some of our teams were. Sometimes we didn't win the games we wanted to, but we kept fighting and we kept trying to improve, kept trying to get better, and that camaraderie helped us at the end of the day. And I think our best season was about 5 games. So just that friendship that everybody had. We were a team, people coming from New York, coming from Florida, and just that friendship that we had, but also understanding that life isn't always going to, go the way that you want to go, but your response is what actually takes it. Where my best friend lost his mother, that isn't something that you want to happen, but his response was something that was great. And good things are always going to happen, but bad things are going to happen. But what are you going to respond, to those things whenever it happens? Just like me getting hurt, my junior year.
Yeah, I think the locker room too. I mean, there's no lies, there, because you're just one of 100 guys. Yeah. And when you go to watch film, like the eye in the sky doesn't lie.
Amen.
And I think that more than anything is that if you have gotten good reviews, bad reviews, or mediocre reviews in a football setting in front of your peers, that's also something that sticks with you. That's so awesome, I mean, to the extent that you can avoid the negative reviews, because we all know, right? Yes. We've all been there where it hasn't gone right for us. You want to avoid that, and I think that's the good thing about being in a locker room, because I think that there's, in addition to that, Perm, I think that not everybody that looks like me is exactly like me. Right. Not everybody that looks like Justin.
Right. So you got to be able to adapt to those circumstances.
And so I think that there was, even just within just the different personalities that you get. Yeah. I mean, I think that that's probably the reason that, when you look at kind of, Simon and Justin's practice that they built here, there's probably no two people that look alike. And I think that that's not by accident. I think that a lot of that has to do with them growing up in locker rooms where they were around a lot of people that didn't look like them.
The Mercyhurst crew.
Yeah, well, not even Mercyhurst, but Ursuline was. You guys had a really diverse in Ursuline, and even where you grew up in Campbell. I mean, not everybody looked the same, and I think that that's. When you talk about carrying things over, I see a lot of stuff that carries over from our time at Mercyhurst together, and obviously, most importantly is the friendship with these guys.
Oh yeah.
So we can go on for hours talking, together.
This has been fun.
It's
Absolutely, it's been fun.
we just cut out the last part, so that's why everybody's laughing because that one couldn't be shared. That one was beyond rated R.
That one's
taking that one to the grave.
We taking that one to the grave.
That one goes
together. But
It's kind of it reminds me. It's like, where's Simon? I don't know. He's here. I don't know where he is.
Staley, let me just tell you what you guys missed, and you'll never find out. I was looking at Perm, and Staley was grabbing me by the shoulders, right? Did you see it? And he was like, and I could feel his hand. He was like, no, seriously, you got to stop. You know what I mean? Because he didn't realize Giovanni can cut it out.
Right.
So
That
we
was
wanted
like,
to,
what's your boy Dalton?
That was our joke.
That was your boy Dalton?
You wanted to
I was
choke
gonna
me?
you
You wanted to choke
I don't
me.
got-
I know he wanted to choke me.
I'm not big
He
like
wanted
it.
to choke
Oh,
me.
man.
Yeah.
That
We
was-
can cut that out.
Different. Yeah, for sure.
But the
cut
love
that
is
for sure.
still real.
Cut out for sure.
It's a legit 20,
love here, man.
20 years.
20 years, man.
We're coming up
Yes.
on a legit 20 years in the summer.
Summer,
It'll be a
yeah.
legit 20 years of the relationship being maintained, brother. And I appreciate Justin, as always. I get to see you all the time. I appreciate you. But Staley,
doubt.
man, I appreciate you making the
Sponge,
trip. I
baby.
appreciate your loyalty
Appreciate you,
and
man.
most importantly, I appreciate you taking care of the bag, taking care of the money.
Yes.
Appreciate you taking care of the money. Real.
Take care of the bag.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Grindcast. Get ready, it's a new day.
Count money,
All right.
man, stack riches. Trying told him I'm a beast, bud.